afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. You have Alyssa Coram here, and I'm joined by Justin Nielsen. We're going to get to the super strong action that we saw in the market today and the actionable opportunities that it provided. Justin, what are the three stocks that we're going to be checking in on?
Well, on a day that was so strong today, we might as well look at where some of that strength came from.
Yeah.
So we'll start with Salesforce.com, big beat on earnings, also go into Kupa software, and then round it out with Netflix.
Perfect. Well, first, let's take a look at the major indexes. We have a chart of the Nasdaq here gaining about 1.7% for the day, while the S&P 500 gained another 1%. The Dow lagged a bit, but still up 0.3% for the day. So tech still very much in the driver's seat here, Justin. Yet another gain in a row for the Nasdaq, just screaming to more new highs here today. What's your big takeaway from today's session?
The biggest problem I have with making money is sometimes it just makes me very nervous. You know, when it gets to be too much, it's like, oh, this was a great day. And, you know, you look at your account, everything, you know, the birds are singing, the sun is shining. You just have to be aware that we are starting to get into an extended state. You know, now that doesn't mean that we can't go further. We also have, okay, so Jackson Hole Economic Symposium, Powell's going to be speaking. After we had the Fed minutes come out, and I think you and I talked about this, the Fed minutes had come out before, and I think there was just something missing in terms of some of that guidance with the policy review and a little bit of what's going on with asset repurchasing. Is that something that's going to be happening? If Powell gives some guidance in that regard tomorrow, that could be what people are kind of looking forward to. If that's not in there, I just wonder if it's going to be a disappointment, kind of like with the Fed minutes previously. But as we stand right now, this was a strong close. If we go ahead and flip over to the intraday, just to kind of show you my state of mind and how skittish I was a little bit. You know, this is the QQQ on the 15-minute chart, and you see that there were those two kind of quick pullbacks. 290 was kind of my line in the sand for the Qs. I set an alert to myself. It kind of dipped below there, you know, got support immediately, and then dipped briefly below there again, but then we closed at the highs of the day. So that skittishness that I was showing kind of doesn't seem like it panned out, but you just have to be careful. It's still time to be disciplined. Don't be buying stocks extended, because what tends to happen is as you get more and more extended, you get due for a pullback, and you don't want to be buying things as they're extended and get caught in a very normal pullback that, you know, can make you lose money, lose confidence, and damage your psychology. For things that you own, it's great. Again, a lot of the leaders, you're just holding on to them, but be very careful with new positions here.
Yes, don't let those emotions take control of you. Like you said, Justin, stick to the rules. And just one more quick thing to point out here, you know, every time that we did start getting extended from that trend of this channel, or even the regression lines that we've been talking about a lot on IBD Live, we've seen pullbacks. So just something to keep an eye out for as we move forward. And that 21-day line, we are quite above that level now.
Yeah, and just know that, you know, you can get extended above a channel line, and you can actually run for quite a bit. So that's why we tend to look for reversals or signs of weakness, you know, after that kind of action where you get extended. You know, so once we start seeing that, the extended action kind of puts us on notice. That's kind of the shot across the bow, and then we see that weakness, we can be very quick to act. So consider this, you know, the shot across the bow, and just be ready.
Yeah, you don't want to preemptively get too,
especially
too bearish.
Because when things are moving so strong, it can cascade on itself, and you can sometimes get an even more powerful move. So you certainly don't want to miss out on that.
Yeah, well, driving a lot of today's gains was a big move in Salesforce.com, gaining about 26% on the day. Volume up some 1,000% here, Justin. Pretty incredible. I mean, a huge gain on the bottom line here for Salesforce. And that really just drove a lot of stocks in the software sector to rise in sympathy. What's your thoughts on this big move today?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the big thing here is I don't quite see this as something that was actionable today. I mean, it just it gapped up so big in the morning. Now, it could set up something. David brought up, and this is actually, I think, in his stock market today, article, the concept of a short stroke. He talked about that on IBD Live as well. So if it kind of goes flat from here, that's actually a pattern that I really like to see. When you have a strong move up, you can hold the gains and then you kind of continue forward. Now, of course, Salesforce also has that kind of extra oomph behind the fact that it's going to be added to the Dow Jones Industrial Average next week. So there are a lot of people out there that just in indexing, they're going to be wanting to own some of this, and they might have panicked a little bit and said, "Oh my gosh, I've got to own this stock, and it's moving up so much." You mentioned the Dow kind of lagging today. Heck, if they had just done it a little bit earlier, they could have that move in Salesforce today. So instead, they had Exxon, Pfizer, and Raytheon still hurting them today.
Yeah, but seemingly a character change here for Salesforce. So one to watch for that potential short stroke. And elsewhere in the software sector, we've been keeping tabs on Kupa software. A really nice move for this stock today as well, gaining 10%. Now, what were some of the areas that investors could have looked at to get in on this stock? And do you think it's too extended now?
So I'll just kind of share what I was doing. I was actually picking up some shares of this as it bounced from the 50-day moving average line just a few weeks ago. Actually, a little bit before that. So yeah, that was an area to pick up some shares. And then I added some this morning as it kind of crossed that line that you're showing, that lower line. But if you step back to the weekly, this was a legitimate flat base pattern. Now, it's not picked up by pattern recognition in this case, because you did have those couple weeks that went into new high ground. And so it kind of made it difficult for pattern recognition to recognize this using that left-hand side. So, it still has all the elements of a flat base. Its correction was very mild, less than 15%. It was long enough. It kind of, instead of coming down to the 50-day or the 10-week moving average line, it kind of let that line come up to it. So I think there's a lot that looks good about this breakout, and it's actionable from that flat base. But it's always a little bit nicer if you can get some of those alternate entries, because it just gives you that much cushion on the breakout.
Yes, and we have earnings in a couple weeks, but seemingly enough time to build a cushion here, but only time will tell.
Right, exactly. And so that's, again, where those alternate entries can kind of provide you a little bit of extra cushion, especially with an earnings report coming up. And again, this one was kind of tough. If you weren't there right at the beginning, this had a 10% move at the end of the day, and it just kept on going higher and higher. So this is where kind of acting early is in your best interest.
Already having these stocks on your radar.
Absolutely.
All right. And last but not least, Netflix also had a big day. It wasn't just limited to software, broad-based strength, and Netflix, a huge gain, up almost 12%, heavy volume, closing at the top of its range. So, and also near now this 550 number, those round numbers. So maybe a kind of like a magnet to that level. What do you say?
Well, actually, 500 was the level that I was looking at, and it just blew through that. So Chris and I were talking about this yesterday. Exactly that. You kind of look at that pattern. Even if you had taken it from that 510.82 high, this was just kind of forming a little bit of a pennant action, a little triangle there as it was rising. The lows were kind of getting higher and higher as it hugged that 50-day moving average line, and then the tops, it was coming in. And that's where, when you see a break, especially since this was right around 500, we put this on Swing Trader this morning as it was kind of going above that 500 level, looking strong, and it just kept on going from there. And again, this was just a very unusual day in how it started. It started kind of mixed, but I mean, the strength just kept on building and building, and you see where a lot of these stocks ended today. So again, this did give you an opportunity this morning in the early trading in the maybe first 10-15 minutes. It popped right through 500, and so that would have been a very good entry right there. And again, that's what we did with Swing Trader.
Yes, yeah, nice job getting this one on Swing Trader. Make sure you check out swingtrader.investors.com for more details. If that is something new to you, Justin, you do a fantastic job with that. And you can get moves just like Netflix as they are breaking out. But we are going to continue tracking not just actionable stocks, but the overall market conditions very closely. So tomorrow morning on IBD Live, the conversation will definitely continue there. You can check it out at investors.com/IBD Live. That's our daily morning live stream where our experts are sharing their screens and talking at length about portfolio strategies, stocks that are looking good, some nice setups, and how to handle them. So we
Exactly.
get a lot done in that hour and a half every day.
Yeah, and that's why it keeps on going longer and longer. There's just so
Yep.
much to talk about.
Exactly. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.